One of the most difficult years in Rick Harrison's life has been 2025. He is regarded by the world as the unstoppable boss of porn stars. However, behind the scenes, he has experienced heartbreak, jail time speculations, and even the suspension of porn stars in February 2025. Rick has dealt with a number of situations in 2025, and it appears that he is currently keeping a quiet profile. Where is he now then? You wouldn't anticipate it. Rick Harrison experienced his most devastating grief to date on January 19, 2024. Rick received a call on that day. His second son, Adam Harrison, had passed away. Adam was 39 years old. Additionally, fans were unsure of how to react to the news when the autopsy results were released. They were unaware of Adam's battle with addiction. Adam had passed away in a guest home in Las Vegas after accidentally taking too much fentanyl and methamphetamine. Rick openly attributed his son's passing to a lax border policies. Rick was rocked by his death, and the impact was long-lasting. However, Rick did something in 2025 that might help him feel less pain. How did he do it? Adam avoided the limelight of porn stars. While working for a short time at the Gold and Silver Porn Shop, Adam left his dad's porn shop because, unlike Corey, he couldn't handle the commotion. But Rick was aware of his years-long battle with heroin addiction. Rick was present for his son's recuperation and even assisted him in checking into a rehab facility. But despite Rick's best attempts, Adam's problems were more profound and dominated him. Rick struggles with addiction as well. Rick, however, is addicted to his show, Porn Star, rather than narcotics. Following the events and drama of Rick Harrison's Gold and Silver Porn Shop, Porn Star made its premiere on July 19, 2009. Since its premiere, it has grown to become one of the most popular television programs. It became the History Channel's top-rated program in January 2011 and the second highest-rated reality show after Jersey Shore. After riding high on the show's popularity, Rick Harrison released his biography, Licensed to Porn Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver on June 7, 2011. His book became an immediate bestseller, peaking at number 22 on the New York Times bestseller list on June 26, 2011. Rick made an effort to perform at his highest level in order to sustain his success after tasting it. But Rick is far from flawless, and we'll discuss his past actions that have tarnished his reputation shortly. One could even argue that he had a difficult year in 2025 as a result of some of his choices. Rick revealed that, in spite of the show's success, in February 2025, the History Channel did not extend a contract to Rick and his team. The venerable program, which gave rise to well-liked spin-offs like Sinjun Porn Stars, American Restoration, and Counting Cars, is currently homeless. But Rick isn't going to give up. He is still certain that he can get the show up and running. In what he referred to as Porn Stars 2.0, he is attempting to resume filming and investigate more options for developing the program. Rick would therefore state that the show was indefinitely paused rather than that it had been canceled. Have we seen the last of Porn Stars, or will they return? In the event that filming cannot continue, what will happen to the show's cast? Co-star Austin "Chum" Lee Russell and Rick, both of whom are porn stars, have committed their futures to creating content related to the show. They produced the podcast Porn After Dark in February 2025. It is not officially connected to history. In this manner, they can stay out of trouble with the law and eventually start shooting again. However, Corey "Big Hoss" Harrison, Rick's first son, is done with the show regardless of its fate. Does this mean that filming for the show won't continue? Why would Corey abandon the show in such a manner when he plays a significant role in it? How would Rick handle his current situation, especially with Adam deceased and Corey gone? Recently, Corey disclosed that he is not and does not wish to be involved in contract renewal negotiations. Did he and his father have a background conflict that they are keeping from us? If true, it wouldn't be the first time that the Harrison members have argued or caused drama over the show. Soon, we'll tell you about their biggest battle to date. According to reports, Corey isn't interested in the show. He now resides in Tulum, Mexico, rather than Las Vegas. My father will continue to work till the day he passes out, Corey remarked. That's just not me. He packed his bags and went after the show was paused, and he realized that his father and pal Chumley were not moving on after 22 seasons of filming. Instead, Corey stayed to work in Mexico. He felt he deserved a long holiday, so he set off for Tulum. What was the amount he could have saved? Does he intend to go to work? On Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula's Caribbean coast, Tulum is a well-liked holiday destination. It is well known for its beaches and the remarkably intact Mayan city ruins. Therefore, Corey spends his days unwinding and carefree. However, he made a mistake. Porn stars wasn't real, he implied. Isn't that shocking? Why would Corey advocate such a thing? You will soon learn. Corey is getting ready to launch a business at Tulum. Furthermore, it has nothing to do with porn stars. He is establishing a barbecue restaurant business in Tulum with the help of investors. He has even given this place the moniker, Big Horse's Smoking Joint. Is he qualified to oversee a barbecue restaurant in the area? Politicians and high-ranking government officials hang out with him since he is a huge celebrity. Perhaps Big Hoss is relying on his fame to attract clients who will buy from him in the same manner that he has been buying from porn stars for years. According to Corey, he and the other cast members started playing a particular character rather than their own selves after a few years on the show. I can't play another season of 41-year-old me pretending to be 23. In other words, he has essentially stuck to the role he started the show with in the earlier time. Is it possible that nobody is aware of the true identities of Rick, Chumley, or Corey? Is Rick feigning to be the steady, rugged, and trustworthy man that we have all come to adore? There have been indications that Rick may not be the patient person he appears to be. Rick has been running a porn business for years, but occasionally he lacks the patience to deal with the many kinds of customers that come in, similar to that period in October 2011. At that time, a Model 96B weapon was brought to the gold and silver porn shop for appraisal by Daniel Callahan, a 62-year-old handicapped Vietnam veteran. Daniel claims that he got into a fight with Rick Harrison and his father, Richard Oldman. Daniel said that Rick and Richard Harrison choked him, pulled him through the store, and dumped him onto the sidewalk as they were fighting. After accusing the father and son of beating him, Daniel filed a lawsuit against them, claiming he was injured during the incident and seeking $20,000 in damages. All of Daniel's allegations were refuted by Rick and his father, and Corey disclosed that although Daniel had a problem, Rick and Richard were not present. Corey said they thought Danny could discharge the gun he was holding because he was acting strangely. In order to ensure everyone's safety, the personnel handled the situation as they knew it should be. Although Rick was able to defend himself in one instance, he has been charged with insulting, dismissing, and demeaning his clients. He gives his clients such inexpensive costs that they frequently feel insulted. In the show's Another Christmas Story episode, a customer went into a store to purchase an NBA championship ring. The customer was drawn to a diamond-studded 1975 Golden State Warriors that Rick had on display. The customer was unaware that Rick had saved the ring store for his fiancée, with whom he eventually became engaged. The fact that someone wanted to purchase the ring already annoyed Rick. Why not simply remove it from the exhibit, because it meant so much to him? Rick gave the buyer information on the ring, but when the customer inquired about the ring's authenticity, the situation turned heated. It makes sense that the purchaser would want to use his own diamond tester to determine whether the ring was authentic. But when the buyer refused to believe him, Rick became irate. As the client attempted to use his own diamond tester to confirm the gem's quality, he became enraged. At last, the client realized that the ring's diamonds were genuine. After the purchaser offered $5,500, Rick listed a final price tag of $11,000. The customer left the store feeling let down by Rick's refusal to cooperate on the price tag, as he refused to budge. He was taken aback by Rick's combative demeanor and believed that Rick would physically harm him. When interacting with Rick, the consumer wouldn't be the only one to feel that way. A customer entered the gold and silver pawn shop on June 2020. If Rick Harrison had been able to control his annoyance and anger, the exchange would have been typical. Rick and the customer were conducting business when he abruptly lost his anger when they were talking about the pricing, and they had a furious quarrel. Regretfully, their dispute went beyond a simple disagreement. A full-fledged, violent altercation ensued. The customer allegedly left the store for their own safety after Rick started threatening to beat them up. However, they didn't forgive Rick for his threats, and they called the police right away. Rick was arrested by the police and taken to court after they left the store. Fans were stunned to see that Rick had been arrested on a misdemeanor charge of attempted violence. They believed they knew that Rick wouldn't attempt to assault a customer. Rick entered a guilty plea after being charged with the crime. Rick said he was ashamed and he regretted what had happened. He committed to acting more professionally going forward. He was given a sentence of 30 days of community service and 2 years of probation by the court. His legal issues were the latest in a long line of legal disputes that the cast of porn stars has had to deal with. It appeared that people didn't know Rick as well as they believed, which hurt his reputation. Many were surprised by his guilty plea, even though it was insignificant in comparison to other scandals involving porn stars. The show's comedic relief, Chumlee, was unexpectedly embroiled in a big scandal in March 2016. The police received a call in March claiming that Chumlee had sexually abused a woman. In order to look into the claim of sexual assault, the police broke into his Las Vegas house. The claim of sexual assault was not supported by any evidence. Police discovered something completely different, but no charges were brought. Chumlee's home included a number of firearms, both legal and illicit, as well as crystal meth, marijuana, Xanax, and antidepressants. He was taken into custody by the police right away, and he was charged with 20 felonies. One of the most difficult years in Rick Harrison's life has been 2025. He is regarded by the world as the unstoppable boss of porn stars. However, behind the scenes, he has experienced heartbreak, jail time speculations, and even the suspension of porn stars in February 2025. Rick has dealt with a number of situations in 2025, and it appears that he is currently keeping a quiet profile. Where is he now then? You wouldn't anticipate it. Rick Harrison experienced his most devastating grief to date on January 19, 2024. Rick received a call on that day. His second son, Adam Harrison, had passed away. Adam was 39 years old. Additionally, fans were unsure of how to react to the news when the autopsy results were released. They were unaware of Adam's battle with addiction. Adam had passed away in a guest home in Las Vegas after accidentally taking too much fentanyl and methamphetamine. Rick openly attributed his son's passing to a lax border policies. Rick was rocked by his death, and the impact was long-lasting. However, Rick did something in 2025 that might help him feel less pain. How did he do it? Adam avoided the limelight of porn stars. While working for a short time at the Gold and Silver Porn Shop, Adam left his dad's porn shop because, unlike Corey, he couldn't handle the commotion. But Rick was aware of his years-long battle with heroin addiction. Rick was present for his son's recuperation and even assisted him in checking into a rehab facility. But despite Rick's best attempts, Adam's problems were more profound and dominated him. Rick struggles with addiction as well. Rick, however, is addicted to his show, Porn Star, rather than narcotics. Following the events and drama of Rick Harrison's Gold and Silver Porn Shop, Porn Star made its premiere on July 19, 2009. Since its premiere, it has grown to become one of the most popular television programs. It became the History Channel's top-rated program in January 2011 and the second highest-rated reality show after Jersey Shore. After riding high on the show's popularity, Rick Harrison released his biography, Licensed to Porn Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver on June 7, 2011. Joanne claims that she wasn't acting rationally and wasn't completely aware of the consequences of her actions. She claimed that she was unaware that she had given Rick command of the company. As a result, Joanne thought she had inherited her husband Richard Harrison's 49% ownership in the company when he passed away in 2018. She felt that Rick, who worked for her, ought to have given her all of the financial records. However, she said Rick had been mismanaging the company's funds and had refused to do so. She accused Rick of using her possessions as collateral to obtain a $3 million loan. And it wasn't just that. She also accused him of failing to account for Richard's pre-death assets, which included over $100,000 in cash and $500,000 in silver. Her charges against Rick continued to escalate. She claims that throughout the CO9 pandemic in 2020, Rick had been giving her a $25,000 monthly allowance from the company, which was then cut to $20,000 and finally to $85,000. She said that Rick eventually stopped providing her with anything. As a result, she struggled to cover her monthly expenses of $15,000 because of her continuous medical need. When Joanne sought a temporary restraining order against Rick in March 2022, the already problematic situation took a turn for the worst. She wished to prevent Rick from stealing any funds from the company, selling or employing company property, and severing her monthly income, which she needed to pay for personal and medical bills. Rick was having another bad day, but he played it down. He asserted that Joanne was being duped and that all of her statements were untrue. Rick feels that he has always operated in the company's best interests. He even attempted to speak with his mother but was unsuccessful. There hasn't been any public discussion of the subject since his mother's shocking allegations and lawsuit. Did they reach an out-of-court settlement? It appears like Rick Harrison is doing well, despite the negative sentiment that's surrounding him. Rick made news when he proposed to his fiancée Angie Palashkin on their romantic trip to Chile's Casablanca Valley, a year after the death of his son. Shortly after Rick's 2023 divorce from his fourth wife, Amanda Palmer, the two started dating in January 2024. Despite their 18-year age difference, the two travel the world together and have an identical appearance. Fans were thrilled for the couple when they shared their engagement on Instagram. After 4 disastrous marriages, Rick proposed with a 6.5-carat pear-shaped ring from his porn business, making it his 5th engagement. One positive aspect is his bond with Angie. Rick has experienced a great deal. He deserves a break, even though he caused some of it himself, as you have witnessed. And he's had enough. With a lady he loves, he is in a better place. Will he have a lucky 5th term? Or will he behave exactly like the playboy that some believe him to be?